This next story is about one of the species of animals we share this planet with, the orangutan. And oddly, this story is also about palm oil, the ingredient in so many different consumer products, from ice cream to soap to lipstick. And the need for palm oil is carving away enormous stretches of rainforest in Indonesia. That's where the orangutans live. Tonight, NBC's Ian Williams reports on what could be the last stand of one of our closest relatives.
These
men are hunting wild orangutans in the Indonesian jungle, not to kill them, but to save them.
Orangutans are dying here as we speak.
Leading the hunt is Ian Singleton, the director of the Sumatran Orangutan Conservation Program.
If there's an opportunity to dart it immediately in here, then we'll grab it.
Movement in the trees above them sends the team scrambling through the thick undergrowth. Then the trail goes cold until they spot their target high in the canopy and take aim with a tranquilizer gun.
We got it. We got it.
As the sedative takes effect, the next challenge is to safely catch the orangutan as he falls.
It does look horrific, but this really is the only way of saving these vulnerable animals.
They name the 14-year-old male Harry and will release him back into a pristine forest several hours away.
Why did you feel you needed to get him out of there?
These trees will be gone in 12 months.
It looks scary.
Yeah.
But he's all right.
It's a really risky business. This is the absolute last resort. But we have no choice. You know, it's either he can have another life of another 40 years, maybe sire several kids, or he can stay here and die of starvation.
And this is why. The orangutan's forest habitats being illegally slashed and burned to plant trees that produce palm oil. This cheap oil is found in roughly half of all packaged supermarket products, from instant noodles to ice cream, and is bringing jobs and development to Indonesia, now the world's biggest supplier. But at what cost?
This is a question of time. I mean, if we can stop clearing any more land right now, then these animals have a hope. But if we don't do it right now, they'll all be gone before the end of the year.
And when you see these high-wire performers move with mesmerizing ease across the treetops, you understand the former British zookeeper's passion. Orangutans share 97% of our DNA, and it's not hard to detect a touch of us in their curiosity and intelligence. But man's closest living relative could become the first great ape species to face extinction in the wild.
We have a moral obligation to save as many species as we can. I mean, orangutans have just as much right to be here as we do.
Singleton first came to Sumatra as a student, researching the red apes. His more than 20 years here have left him angered and moved by their plight, and determined to fight for their survival. And Singleton is stepping up the fight to save what remains with a surprising new weapon.
Engage engines, 1, 2, 3.
His eye in the sky, a drone with a tiny onboard camera, shows why the island that was once called the Emerald of the Equator isn't anymore, providing proof of the illegal deforestation.
I guess most people associate drones with warfare. I mean, do you see yourselves engaged in a battle against these plantations?
I think you probably could call it a battle against the plantations.
The Treepa Peat Swamp Forest, the scene of Harry's dramatic rescue, was once orangutan paradise.
Can you see that? Movement over there.
Yeah. But it's now a paradise under siege.
Until just a few months ago, all this was pristine peat forest, one of the richest ecosystems on the planet and home to scores of orangutans. Now it looks like this, a scarred and scorched wasteland for just about as far as the eye can see, another victim of the relentless march of the palm oil business.
Clearing by fire is illegal, but the Indonesian government has long failed to enforce that law. Over the past 20 years, here alone an astonishing 190 square miles have been cleared to make way for palm oil plantations. And Singleton estimates the orangutan population is down 90%, with only 200 remaining.
But it does seem you're standing on the front line of what is a very important battle.
Oh yeah, I think this is make or break.
So Singleton is providing a sanctuary for those displaced. He now has 46 orangutans, most of them orphans, currently in his care.
In a way, you're running a refugee camp.
Exactly, precisely.
And trying to find somewhere to relocate them.
Yes, that's exactly what we're doing. You still remember me? Huh?
One of the newest inhabitants is a 2-year-old male named Chocolate. Undercover investigators found him in the hands of animal traders. The toddler arrived at the rescue centre hungry, tired and alone.
Usually at this age, he'd be with his mum all the time. He'd be very close to his mum for some years to go. And what does it mean now that he's been wrenched away from her and she's probably dead?
It means he has to learn things for himself.
The bond between mother and baby is one of the strongest in the animal kingdom. They remain together for up to 9 years. Singleton doesn't like to be called a surrogate mom and doesn't look much like one. Though many of the youngsters, when they first arrive, are dependent on him and his staff. Their goal is to teach them skills they need, even how to climb trees, so one day they can be returned to the wild.
He's one of the lucky little survivors, yeah? You get a second chance at being a wild orangutan.
Singleton now has an unexpected ally, Nestle. 2 years ago, Greenpeace mounted a high-profile campaign to shame the world's largest food and beverage company after they discovered one of its palm oil suppliers was destroying orangutan habitat. Under intense public pressure, Nestle turned things around and has since become a leader in buying palm oil responsibly.
Palm oil here is often seen as a particular villain. Is that fair?
Yes, it is fair. There's been a lot of deforestation here to establish palm plantations.
Scott Poynton is the executive director of the Forest Trust, a non-profit group hired by Nestle following the Greenpeace campaign. He says it is possible to plant palm oil trees on land that has already been cleared and logged.
What we say to people is, we're not stopping you from growing palm oil, but put it on land that's degraded, that's not forest anymore.
Can we, though, be sure where all the palm oil is coming from?
We say, if you don't know where the oil comes from, then you don't care. You don't care whether your oil is killing orangutans. We can put people on the moon. Surely we can work out where a ton of palm oil comes from.
Back in Sumatra, we obviously wanted to talk to the companies under investigation for the destruction of Harry's home in the Tripa peat swamp forest. We're now driving across Medan to the office of Callista Alam. That's one of 2 companies being investigated. We have requested an interview from them, but so far they haven't responded. Hello, Callista Alam. My name is Ian Williams from NBC.
No comment.
I was wondering whether you could talk to us about the activities of your company in the Tripa peat swamp, yes? But your company is under investigation, yes?
I can speak English. I can't speak English.
Could you tell us about the... I'm merely trying to get a response to these accusations. Could you talk to us? After our visit, the company had one of its operating permits revoked. But that's only the first step in what's likely to be a long battle to save the orangutan's remaining habitat. Meanwhile, Singleton has found a new home for his refugees when they're ready to return. It's deep in a so far undisturbed part of the forest. Getting here isn't easy, which is probably a good thing for the orangutans, 30 of which have been released, including Harry.
It must be very satisfying when you're out there seeing them back in the trees, back in this habitat again.
Seeing in the wild there is also, it makes me feel that what I'm doing is extremely worthwhile.
Ian Williams, who we don't get to see often right here because you're posted in Asia, is here with us tonight. I'll go ahead and ask anyone with any empathy is wondering, what can we do?
Look at the labels, Brian, because there are so many products now that contain palm oil. If we look at the labels and challenge the companies, write letters, find out where they're sourcing their palm oil from, because they may tell us they're doing it in a responsible way, but so many of them don't look hard enough. And consumer power can be very important. We saw that in the case of Nestle. Ask them where they're getting it from, whether they're confident that their palm oil comes from plantations which are not destroying the habitat of the orangutan. Also, another way is to adopt an orangutan. Not literally, they may be cute and cuddly, but we shouldn't be taking them home, but a virtual adoption. Ian Singleton's organisation has a website, which we have the address of on our website, where we can sponsor an orangutan, one of those little toddlers, support its rehabilitation. It costs $1,000 a year to look after these toddlers and receive information about how well they're doing, Brian.
All right, we'll link to all of that on our website tonight. Ian, thank you very much. Good to see you here.